This video was brought to you by YugiOhMint.com. Check out their selection of over 20,000 cards and prices better than TCG Player.
Alright, what's up YouTube? MCO40 here. We're going to be doing a very awesome deck profile discussion on Dimensional Police. But first off, could you guys please check out YugiOhMint.com. They've been an avid supporter of this channel. I would appreciate it if you guys could continue to check them out as this channel continues to grow. Without them, we wouldn't have some of the cool cards that you guys have seen throughout these videos. Been a very excellent source of having cards to build these decks. So please check out YugiOhMint.com. They also have their own brand of sleeves. I don't have any more at the time being. More coming to show off for you guys as well. But if you guys are interested in their sleeves as well, check them out. There's another video about them. I believe we did them last month as well. So check them out for all that fun stuff. So today we're going to be looking at an OCG deck profile for Dimensional Police, and I wanted to explain some of the variations between what we've been testing, some of the things that my friend has been testing for this variant as well, and just our overall thoughts on the new Dimensional Robos. So without further ado, the new starter is absolutely phenomenal. Send it into the soul. Just for wording for you guys, choose 4 of your rear guards with Dimensional Robo in their name, put them into the soul. You have a grade 3 Vanguard with Dimensional Robo in its card name. Choose a card from your G-Zone, and you can stride it on Vanguard. There is no requirement, I repeat, no requirement for your opponent's Vanguard for this starter. This card creates huge imbalanced game states with Laurel, and it actually, it's really good. Being able to recuperate what you've lost with Dire. But essentially, if you go first with this, you should have 2 damage if your opponent doesn't burst you down or things like that. So you should be able to continue to do what you need to do with this starter. I don't think any other starter is honestly as good as this card. This card is ridiculous. So, grade 3s. 3 Daikaiser Break Ride. Very important for a lot of your skills. This thing has Dimensional Robo in its name and Daikaiser, so you get access to Daikaiser Leon, and if you need to Break Ride later in the game for the Legion to be able to recycle things. Very powerful scenario. There's nothing to really change here. 4 of these is pretty much mandatory for this particular build. Next up, 3 of the Legion. This card also has Daikaiser in the name, which is also really important. I mean, you have access to 8, you have access to 7 cards with Daikaiser in their name. Yes, some builds do play 4 of this. We're only playing 8 grade 3s in this build. If you want to go to the 10 build, you can max on another copy of this, and we'll explain the other choice here. But this is, if you don't have the Daikaiser, you can sit on this. This fulfills pretty much all of your requirements that you need. No real issues in terms of that. Also, much like the other builds and things that have been running around in the past, this card does put a lot of pressure on your opponent. If you take a passive no stride turn, you have Shield Break, which is incredibly powerful, still even to this day. We're playing 1 of the Legion Mate for this in this build. The other choice, as I was saying, you can go up to 2 of the Legion Mate and 4 of the Stride. That is up to you. This guy does not have Daikaiser in his name. That is pretty important to note. That will not let you go into your Leon turn. However, with only 1 of this from this particular build, it's perfectly fine. There's no real issues with it. If it gets damage checked, yeah, your Legion aspect shut off, but your deck primarily focuses on Stride. This play and this play are typically your backups. We're also playing 1 of the Cross Break Ride. You can take this out. I see this as player preference. On the turn you Break Ride, it's 2200 with Shield Break, or 2300 with Shield Break. That's not the particularly important part. It's the fact that it's another Daikaiser name. A lot of times, we'll just call it off of the Die Earth. That way we don't need to particularly see it in that game. But you also have access to it. Access to it if you need to do the Break Ride turn So I find that really important as well. So that's it. 8 grade 3s. Technically we're playing 12. Some of the builds, technically if you're playing 10, you'll be playing the equivalent to 14. That's a slightly higher number, but of course this guy, countercharge and soul charge is mandatory, but it does count as another grade 3 for half of your shield breaks. So really important card. There's no reason for you not to be playing it. We're playing 2 die lesson. This card's actually insane. This thing gets larger, the columns go. If you want to exploit more stand triggers and things like that for all of his abilities, that's fine, but it's particularly a very powerful card. You call it off of Die Earth to increase your columns. Very good. Also playing 2 of the 10k base. Very important for a lot of the 7 Seas Rush decks running around in our metagame and over in the OCG. Very powerful 10k base, Dimensional Robo in its name. Not much else to really say about this. You might only be on this for a turn. If you don't have the 3, you can stay on this for a turn, but there's absolutely no reason to not have to worry about having these on the Vanguard circle. These can be more die lessons. That's incredibly up to players' preference, but 10k base for preventing the rush decks. And then of course 3 copies of Dijet. Some builds are playing 4. It's player preference. Once again, very powerful card, access to it off of Die Earth. So being able to recycle those 3s on the shuffle is really good. Next up, I know a lot of people don't like 4 of this card, but I think you want to max out on the best card. Especially if you have this card on the turn that you resolve this for the Die Earth play, you'll be able to effectively probably burst out 6 cards out of your hand, or you punish your opponent with an early game perfect shield. It all depends on the scenario that comes up, but very, very powerful for pressure. Next up, playing 4 copies of Yuka, insane card. I don't know why you'd want to play any less. I think I've seen a couple builds playing 3, but just a free 4,000 power on a D-Robo. Next up, 3 copies of the Cosmic Hero Grand Leaf. So for those of you that don't know about this G-Guardian, it's Burst, Counterblast 1, Soul Blast 1. If you have a Vanguard, it's 30,000 or greater until the end of the turn. This card gets auto. At the end of each turn, return this card to your hand. And if your Vanguard's power is 35,000 or greater, this thing gets 4,000 shield. So you have to bounce it back to the hand, so you can call it down, hit him with it. It's one of the things I really like about the potential Laurel combo, is you can throw these down, not really worry about it, and be able to bounce them back to your hand because your Vanguard's met the requirements, just for a free Soul Blast. Yes, the unflippers are pretty important at some points, but if you manage appropriately, it's up to you. But it's all, I mean, not the unflippers, the potential D-Robo name can be important, but you can get around it. And of course, 1 copy of Enigma Calm. See this? So this thing is from the drop zone, which is really important to note. So, Generation Break 2 Burst, Counterblast 1, Soul Blast 1. At the end of the battle, that your Vanguard with the Burst ability detect, if that unit's power is 40,000 or greater, you can pay this cost if you do. Return this card to your hand, and if your Vanguard is 45,000 or greater, countercharge 1. So, actually, this is insane. Being able to just pick this back up from the drop zone at pretty much any point in the game, depending on the potential play you're on, is really good. And the last grade one, 1 copy of the Soul Blast Tomb. When your Vanguard attacks or is attacked, you can pay this cost. You choose one of your opponent's front row and give it minus 10,000 power. So this thing doesn't have to go in this fall. If you resolve this properly, you will have enough soul to pay for this. This card is insanely imbalanced. I know some builds are playing 2 of this. We're playing 1 at this point in time. I'm kind of on the fence. If you see it, you see it. If you don't, you don't. Triggers, 4 heal. No explanation needed here for this. 4 criticals, 6 criticals. We are playing the Cosmic Hero engine in this version. I'll explain that when we get there, but it is for the power-ups. 1 stand trigger. I know a lot of people don't like Operator Girl Rake Up, but she's an additional power-up, and she gives the potential draw. So just something else for the Cosmic Hero turn if you go into that engine. And then, last but not least, 5 draw triggers. I might cut one of these for this, but this is just soul fodder to power up the Vanguard's additional power card. So that is the main deck. A lot of builds have been focusing on 12 crit. I've seen some just playing 8 crit and 4 draw. We found in testing the draws were really good for the defense plays. You definitely need to manage your resources appropriately. Potentially more grade 3s. Never. More Kyle would be proud of me. More potential grade 3s is always something to consider. Also being able to punish your opponent on the turn that you shield break is also very important to bear in mind. But for the most part, this build has been doing okay. So, G-Zone explanation. This build is only playing 2 Die Earth. No real reason to want to max out on this. I know some people like it on the second stride against the additional critical while you're still pressuring your opponent with a potential Laurel. I get that, that's fine. I have Kaiser Leon for this scenarios in my opinion, but extra criticals are very nice for wanting to max out on this, but with the addition of the Cosmic Hero engine in this, not so much a pure engine, but more of the hybrid for this build. But for the most case, you have to play 2 of this because this does require a dimensional Robo. So those. For Leon, because shield breaking is absolutely amazing. This card's potentially a staple in this deck. For the current point in time, we have 4 Dimax. I don't think this extra deck is exactly 16. The current build from Japan was only playing 2. We're tinkering around with the potential of 4. I've been liking it. If a game goes to 3 strides, though, I feel like you're either winning or you're just in an incredibly bad scenario at that point. He doesn't have shield break. I know a few people were talking about trying to make me play the shield break stand trigger. I'm not a really big fan of it. I get it, it's good. Once again, though, being able to power up the front row criticals does everything that you would want Dimax to do. Next up, this is the engine I was talking about, the Super Cosmic Hero X Gallop. This is really adorable if you pull it off with Laurel. In a lot of our testing, I think we've only potentially had 1 scenario to pull this off. It's just the potential for quad drive. It's the only real major thing for it. I'm not a super big fan of it. I feel like it dedicates a lot of resources. But in terms of testing, it's important to talk about these things so that players understand. I don't know. I know the pure version is slightly better, but if you pull this off just for more cards in your hand and more punishability to just steal resources from your opponent, it's incredibly good. And of course, last but not least, one of our good friend X-Tiger. Just the ability to get extra criticals depending on the power situation, and an overall card that will punish the later that the game goes. So that is that. G-Guardians. Currently only 1 Go 5. I definitely want to play 2 of this card. And I definitely want to go to 2 copies of X-Caravu. Definitely found only playing 1 of each of these is a little bit harsher on the deck. Also 1 Gleam. Being able to discard a 3 is really good. But for the overall scenarios for this deck, having this power up under the situations and being able to just, if you take a damage on this turn, be able to go to 30,000 shield is very deadly to your opponent. So I think that both of these G-Guardians are important and should be played at 2. A Gleam is good in his own right. Being able to just filter through the hand at times can be very, very good if you need an additional resource, or you need to dig further into the deck for an additional resource. Card is good in its own right, but for the most part, these have been pretty good. So, as we talked about in this video, though, the Burst Engine, it's hit or miss some days. Additional copies of Die Earth, if I cut this engine, is fine. And probably the potential for 5 G-Guardians. I definitely like a Gleam, but I think that we need more of these for this particular deck. So, what do you guys think? Leave a comment down below. Check out Yu-Gi-Oh! Mint as well, guys. Like I said, we wouldn't have a lot of the nice things that you guys see in these videos without them. and it would be extremely, extremely, extremely appreciated. So, this is everything for this D-Robo discussion. For those of you that are like, but Rob, you didn't say which build was better. That is all up to the player, and what you have better testing results with. I've always learned that something that works for me won't work for another person. What works for them might not work for me. So it's all part of the discussion. Alright guys, deuces.